What's going on, guys? Spud here, and welcome to a brand new Telltale The Walking Dead video. As always, thank you for the support on these. I know we've got a lot of new subscribers still. They want to see more Walking Dead videos, so I've been trying to think about what we can actually do. Um, so for this video, we're going to do which Telltale The Walking Dead season is the best, in my opinion. I was going to do an episode rating instead, but I thought this would probably be a bit better. I've also got some videos maybe talking about certain characters that we could potentially do. I'm going to obviously note a lot of this down. As always, if you are new, please do drop a subscription to the channel. It's appreciated. Make sure to check me out on any of my other social medias that I use. They'll be in the description. And if you do enjoy this video, please do like and let me know what your favourite season of Telltale The Walking Dead is. As it's a Telltale Walking Dead video, as always, we will have the Clementine hat on. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. By the way, before we do get straight into it, actually, we are including Michonne. Obviously, we're going to put Michonne in this. And 400 Days will be part of the Season 1 ranking, rather than its separate thing, because it's just the DLC on Season 1. I know some people might have wanted it separately, but I've decided to put it with Season 1 because it was just too short otherwise to have it on its own. I think it's a bit unfair, I'll be honest. So, let's get straight into it. At number 5, so in my opinion, the worst season of Telltale The Walking Dead, and it's probably most people's as well, is Season 3, A New Frontier. Now, this didn't mean it was a bad game, but I thought Episode 2 was poor. I thought Episode 1 was good. Episode 3 and 4 were good. Episode 5 was good. It wasn't a bad game, but I thought it was a little too short. A lot of the characters were not very popular. Javier was popular. Clementine was obviously popular. Um, Gabe was very disliked within the fan base. Kate was very disliked within the fan base. David was very disliked in the fan base. There's other characters that were in the game that people liked, like Trip and um, Jesus. I was trying to think of his name there. Um, but yeah, it's a good game. Don't get me wrong. The story is good. Obviously, they find Gabe and Mariana's dad. He's part of the New Frontier, who are the bad people, and then they have a plan to try and take John down, which ends up causing Richmond to be destroyed. And then it's either save it with Kate or go after David and Gabe. And ultimately, that's kind of the big choice is what you choose. Basically, not if no one, not there's no possibility. It's impossible for everyone to survive between Kate, Gabe, and David. Obviously, Mariana is dead at this point. Arguably the biggest shock when she gets her head blown off in episode 1. Mental. I remember playing that game for the first time and I could not believe what I've witnessed. Um, if I was to rate this game out of 10, I would probably give it a 7.5. Now, I think that might be quite harsh because I enjoyed playing the game, but I just thought some of the deaths in the game were stupid. The character development wasn't too good, in my opinion, except for Javier. He was arguably the only one, because I thought Gabe was always a little shit. He didn't change my opinion on him at all. Um, Obviously Max and Badger, especially Badger. Badger was pure evil. It was obviously nice to see Clementine. The flashbacks, in my opinion, as well, were quite poor, especially if you saved Kenny and you went along with Kenny from season 2, the season 2 choice. There's a car crash and then he's paralyzed and that's how he dies. If you go with Jane, she finds out she's pregnant after obviously having intercourse with Luke in season 2, and she hangs herself. I thought the flashbacks were disappointing. And obviously Edith as well, if you go to Wellington, she gets shot when trying to escape. Raiders destroying Wellington. The other flashbacks in the game, though, like when you found out Clem was part of the New Frontier, weren't terrible. It was quite nice to see like AJ in the game. Obviously, the main purpose of season 3, even though we control Javier, is to find out where AJ is ultimately. And Dr. Lingard tells you, regardless if you save him or not, if you kill him or not, if you kill him, he'll tell you just before he dies. And if you don't kill him, he'll tell you at the end of episode 5 anyway. Now, that was easy for me to put that at 5. Number 4 and number 3 were difficult. And you're probably thinking that's a bit of a surprise. At number 4, though, I have gone for Michonne, but it was close. I love this series. I love the characters. I love Michonne. I love Sam. I love Paige. I love Pete. The other people on the boat as well. Uh, Norma's a good character. I hate Randall. He's my most hated character in the franchise, which shows that he has an impact on me when I play this game. Obviously, it's only a mini series. It was made after season 2, I think, but it's really good. Obviously, the story, they couldn't make as much of a story as the other games because there was less episodes. But it was kind of the original story was about Michonne's daughters, and like she kept having bad memories of her daughters. Like, could she have saved them? Could she not? And it was obviously playing with her mind. Um, they went onto this boat. They were obviously on a boat with Pete and the rest of the crew, Orc, Berto, and there's another one that I can't remember the name of. Uh, and then they find Sam and Greg, and then Randall and Norma's people find them and take them to Monroe, and then they escape Monroe eventually, but Greg's dead because Zachary killed him, and then you escape, and then you climb in this like massive tower, and Sam gets shot, and then you have to take him to the Fairbanks house, um, and they're still trying to get to you, and then obviously John Fairbanks dies. He gets shot by Randall, and then you have Randall hostage. You can kill him or not. Obviously, one of the main, like in my opinion, like the big things of Michonne is the negotiation, the hostage situation with Randall and the rest of Pete's crew. I always remember that scene a lot, and I always remember Norma's death, especially if you cut her arm off and she's just screaming with no arm, just blood pouring out of where her arm was. But I like the characters in this, even though it was a short series. Like Sam, I love Sam. Her character development was amazing. You know, I know a lot of people don't like her, but I do. She's my favorite character in this series. Pete and Michonne are amazing as well. You know, Paige were obviously Michonne and Paige, sorry, were obviously honourable mentions in my top 10 video. But yeah, Michonne miniseries is 4th. So that means that number 3 is season 2, but I think that was kind of expected. The reason that it was close is because I don't like episode 1 of season 2, and episode 4 is quite average as well. So obviously, Clementine, you see with Krista and Omid, who both die. Even though we don't know for sure Krista died, we believe she did. Because if she would have come back in season 4, I think, if she'd survived. So that was a bit crap. And then she gets bit by the dog. I hate everything with the dog. Sam the dog, I hate that scene so much. Like, I hate that part of the game. I hate having to crawl around the house. It's funny when you knock on the window to Alvin, get the apple juice and that, when you're trying to get supplies to stitch the wound, because they've locked you in a shed, Luke, Pete, Nick, and all of those guys. And obviously the big part of this is when Kenny returns, when you find him at the lodge, when you're trying to get away from Carver's men. So the episode 2 is really good, and then that's when you meet Bonnie as well from 400 Days, Carver. Great episode. Episode 3, I like episode 3 as well. But then episode 4, I didn't like. I found it boring except the last part, which was the only exciting parts of episode 4 was when they were on the, I don't know what you call it, but it was like they were outside, but they had like this like storage unit they were in pretty much where Rebecca was giving birth, and everything, all the flooring fell down, and obviously the walkers were trying to get there, and obviously Sarah dies in episode 4, probably a positive. But she can either have a brutal, actually both the deaths are brutal, but the first one is obviously she gets mauled by the walkers. That sounds like a football chant. She gets eaten by the walkers in the house, or she falls off that balcony. And then obviously episode 5, which is the the betrayal from Luke's death, betrayal from Bonnie, Mike, and Arvo, even though it wasn't really a betrayal from Arvo because he was always seen as a bad guy anyway. And then it's obviously we think that baby AJ's died, and then it's between Kenny and Jane. Who do you save? I've done this so many times. In my first playthrough, I saved Jane. If I was to play through it now, I would save Jane. And I know that's kind of unpopular, but I just think, based off the flashback of Kenny's death as well in season 3, it would either be going alone with Kenny after being turned down at Wellington would be my last option. I'd rather go on alone, go to Wellington, or go to House Hardware with Jane. So we've got number 2 and number 1. Obviously, number 2 and number 1. It's either season 1 or season 4. This is if you guys know me by now and you've watched my videos, you'll know this because most of my videos are season 4 videos anyway. But we might start uploading some more gameplay videos on the channel. If people want to see some more clips, like we can put Mariana's death in and stuff like that, I don't mind. So season 2 and 400, no, sorry, season 1 and 400 days is at number 2. Obviously, just so you're aware, but you probably knew that is obviously Shell and Becca, where the webcam is. So season 1, episode 1, I thought was a bit slow, but obviously it's a new game. You've got to kind of they can't just rush it. Episode 2 was the best episode in season 1. It was absolutely amazing. That's what the image is from now. It's where they go to the dairy farm. St. John's Dairy, and then we find out that they're cannibals, and they've cut off Mark's legs, and he's in a secret bathroom, and they're all having his legs for tea. And then they all get put in a meat locker, and then Larry has a heart attack in the meat locker, and you can either try and save his life or kill him. Regardless, he dies because Kenny smashes a salt block all over his a salt lick all over his face. Charming. I didn't like episode 3. It was one of my least favourite episodes. Obviously, the death of Duck and Catcher is really sad, but it was so long with the train stuff. I just like getting the train to work, and that just took way too long for me. Episode 4 is obviously when they're in Savannah. They go to Crawford. That's a good episode, but again, some of it is a bit boring. But that's just because this game was really long compared to the other ones, in my opinion. But obviously Lee gets bit at the end of episode 4, which is obviously really sad after Clementine's been stolen by the stranger. And then obviously you can choose to take his arm off or not, it doesn't matter. Omid and Krista will come with you, or Ben or Kenny. It's kind of all dependent, but there'll be sometimes I think there's a way you can have it so no one helps you, but you still get there in the end. Oh wait, no, actually I think Omid and Krista do come with you regardless. I actually don't know. I've not played season 1. I've played like 6 times maybe. Five times, 6 times. So I'm not actually 100% sure on that. Compared to the final season, I've played that like 10 or 11 times. So I know literally like everything about the final season. And then obviously I've included 400 days. Shell Becker, Bonnie, um, Wyatt, Vince, and I actually can't think of the guy's name that's with Nate at the bottom. I can't believe I can't remember his name. This is it's not Nathan. I don't think. Why can't I remember it? That is really weird that I can't remember it. But yeah, him. How on earth have didn't I actually don't know how I've forgotten his name, but I have. It's not Nathan, is it? Because there was Nate and there was. Oh, it's Michael. No, it begins with an M, I think. Michael. I have no idea. It'll come to me probably. 400 Days was solid. It was only a DLC about an hour and a half. 5 mini stories. You had Shellbacker, you had Bonnie's, you had Wyatt's, you had Vince's, and obviously you had the other guy that I've forgotten the name of, Nathan, Michael, whatever it was. Probably like a mixture of that. Um, Now obviously in the one below, obviously, if you hide from Nate when he's in the car, you either see the dead body of Doug or Carly, depending on your choice in season 1. Shell and Becca are obviously as well there with a few of the survivors group that you see in season 1, episode 4 and 5. Do you see them in 5? No, episode 4. But you hear about them in episode 5 because they've stolen the boat from the house. Then you've got Bonnie's story, which is obviously with Dee and Leland. She ends up killing D accidentally. Um, Vince obviously has killed someone. He's currently at prison on a prison bus. He has to take the ankle of Danny or Justin. And then Wyatt's obviously with his friend where he gets either left behind or he has to drive off because Nate is actually attacking him. Whilst in the car or attacking Eddie, who is Wyatt's friend, in the car. Now, if you're actually not aware of this, Eddie is actually in the final season on the last episode. He's in the flashback where Clementine kills him at the McCarroll Ranch, which is pretty cool that he got a small feature there. What is that guy's name? What is that guy's name? I can't think of it. I think it could be Michael, you know. I think it could be Michael. And then obviously at number one, it's the final season. Wow, this game. I love this game so much. Even though there was issues with loads of issues with Telltale went into administration after the first two episodes. Skybound bought the rights, hired everyone who was part of the project to finish the game off. Amazing. Episode one, amazing. Great start. You see Clementine with AJ, so you know that he found her. She found him, sorry. The train station stuff, and then the car crash, and you think, oh, she's lost AJ again, and then you wake up, and then you find out that you're at a school full of kids. You meet them all, Marlon, Violet, Lewis, um, Willie, Tennessee, Mitch, Ruby. And then obviously you have to help, you have to like look around. Oh, and Omar as well, and Asim, and Brody. There we go, I think that's all of them. You have to go and kill some walkers. And then there's obviously Rosie the dog, which Clementine obviously gets a fright from because of her PTSD from season two. So season one's pretty good, and then she's just becoming part of the school, and then she wakes up loads of loud noises in the basement because she's been back to the train station, and she saw someone who was Abel. That was his name. He just wasn't Abel. He was that was his name. All right. And Abel wanted some of the food. You can either give him it or push him into walkers, but he's a bad guy ultimately. And you tell Brody, she freaks out, and then her and Marlon are having a massive confrontation, and then you confront them in the basement. Brody starts to spill, so then Marlon absolutely whacks her over the head with a flashlight, which destroys her head, and she can't see, and she dies. But she tells Clementine that um, Sophie and Minerva, who were Tennessee's sisters, weren't killed, even though that was the assumption that they were killed. That they were actually given away to the bad people who Abel was part of, the Delta, um, in exchange for safety, and they were going to do the same thing to Clementine and AJ. So then Marlon locked Clementine up. She had to kill Brody while she was a walker, and then got out, had to try and get Violet or Lewis to stand up to Marlon. Eventually he did, after becoming a bit psycho. He admitted he did it, and then just as he was about to say you can leave or you can become a prisoner, AJ shoots him in the back of the head. Wow, that was a massive end to episode one. Episode two was amazing. You had obviously the funeral. Clementine and AJ were kicked out, even though Violet wanted them to stay. And just as they were about to start walking, they see Abel. Then they attack Abel, and just before that happens, there's a gun that's pointing to the back of Clementine's head. So then obviously they're restrained, and then Abel kicks Clementine, and then she turns over because of it, and she looks up, and the person that's pointing the gun at the head was actually Lily from season one. Wow, that honestly that was mental when that happened. I could not believe it. And yeah, Lily was ultimately part of this crew that was kidnapping children so they could fight for their cause. So you can escape. Either you tell Violet and Lewis to run, or they shoot. If they shoot, Lewis gets shot, I think, but AJ also gets shot in the stomach regardless. And then you've got to kill loads of walkers whilst when you've escaped them. And then James, who's to the right here of Clementine, approaches her and she tries to kill him because obviously she thinks it's a walker, and he says like shh and puts his hand over her mouth, and then he looks after them whilst AJ tries to help AJ recover and stuff like that. Then they get back to the school, they're allowed back in. Violet's kind of taking charge. Um, Clementine comes back with AJ so that they can help protect the school. Everyone kind of gets on board with it, and then you're playing like card game or something, truth and dare. And then after that, you can obviously choose to go with Lewis or to Violet, and that's where you can have a really nice scene, regardless if it's romantic or not. Obviously, I would always choose Violet, except in my reverse playthrough, and mine would always tend to be a relationship one with a romantic one with her. And then after that, they attack the school. Mitch gets killed by Lily because he's an idiot. Tennessee causes loads of issues because he's an idiot. Abel gets captured and mauled by the dog. And then Lily, you've got the choice to either save Violet or save Lewis. So I always save Violet. If you save Violet, Lewis will lose his tongue when you rescue him in episode 3. And if you do it to Violet, she'll turn on you, but she gets blind in one eye after the explosion of the boat in episode 3. So episode 3 is the best episode in the entire franchise, in my opinion. It has everything. Really good confrontations with Minerva because she's alive. Um, That's obviously Violet's ex-girlfriend and Tennessee's sister, but Sophie's not alive anymore. The stories that Lily does on the boat are amazing. Abel begging for mercy. Just everything about episode 3. It's the best episode. I could even do a whole video on why episode 3 is the best episode. It's so good. Obviously, you have to go in the barn with all the walkers with the walker skin on. Um, you obviously put the walker guts on, join the herd. It's just amazing. And then that episode 3 was done because Skybound bought the rights. Otherwise, the Telltale would be finished with that. Then the final episode was really good. Obviously, you had the you escape the boat. Minerva and a few other people get bitten. You have to go through a cave. If you, also in episode 3, you obviously fight Lily on the top of the boat. You can either kill her or do what James says and don't kill her. So I did what James says and didn't kill her, and then she stabs James in the back of the neck, and he dies, and Lily survives. Then episode 4 starts. Obviously, Lily, you speak to her while she gets off on a boat. I actually don't say anything, like I just say like I hope you find your happiness, even though she's literally ruined happiness for so many other people. And then episode 4 as well. You've got like um Clementine gets bit, but before that, the bridge scene is outrageous with Minerva. Oh, I think that is actually the best scene in the entire franchise. The bridge scene. Oh my god, it's out of this world. And obviously, if you tell in the cave, if you tell AJ that he's ready and can be trusted with the gun, um, Tennessee dies. If you don't, Violet or Lewis dies, depending on who you saved in episode 3. Um, episode 2, sorry, episode 2. Wow. And then Clementine gets bit, and I think that's going to be the end. I cried when I first played the game. Don't worry, I will admit it. I will admit it. When it was just like Lee all over again. Obviously, that video's got like 11,000, no, 15,000 views on YouTube now, and got me like 35 subs. So thanks for that, obviously. And then she survives. That when you have Take Us Back playing, and AJ, and then you hear, "What do you do there, goofball? What you got there, goofball, or something?" No, it's what you doing there, goofball. And then Clementine comes out with a crutch. Oh my god, it's mental. It's crazy. It's crazy. Tell you what, it's mental. Then you have all the food stuff, and then the end, AJ puts the cap back because he managed to get the cap out of the water. And you see Tennessee as well. If you shot Tennessee, you see his walker version. You can kill him off. Just let him stay there as he is. But yeah, that is going to be the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Do you agree down below? And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.